Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for stopping by the channel. So for this video, we're checking out this MMI SkyHunter. Now, if you're not familiar with this micro brand, MMI is based in Singapore, and the SkyHunter is actually paying tribute to a Hawker Hunter fighter jet, which is owned by the British Air Force, but was adopted by the Singapore military many decades ago. So this is, I guess, a pilot or more of like a field style watch, in my humble opinion. And this watch was announced on the MMI website back at the end of 2022. And the way they've released it is on pre-order. It's been a staggered price tier structure. So at this stage of the pre-order game, I think these watches come in at just over $400 US. So what are you actually going to get for that type of money? I think one of the hallmark features for MMI watches is how they do the date complication. So if we move in on the dial a little bit here, you can actually see closer towards where the hour hand is actually terminating here. You have this roulette style disc, and it's numbered 1 to 31 for each day of the month. And then currently at the 1 o'clock position, you have this bright orange or red indicator, and that will actually cycle through the various days of the week. So it's kind of an unobtrusive way to tell the date if you're actually looking for it. I gotta say, it's not highly legible from a distance, but it's there when you need it. And one thing I did note is that the way the days of the month go is counterclockwise. So it starts from 1 here, and then it goes against the grain until you hit 31 days. So let me quickly run off the dimensions for this watch, and then we'll go into some of the other specs. So it is a 38.5 millimeter case diameter. Flipping the watch to the side, the wingspan, so that's the effective lug-to-lug distance, is 45.3 millimeters. In terms of overall height, it's actually quite slender. I grab it at only 10.6 millimeters from that bottom of that screw down case pack with the Hawker Hunter fighter jet logo, and then the top of this flat sapphire crystal that does a nice job with some AR coating on the underside. I'll also quickly mention, if you want to accessorize this watch with strap options, it accepts 20 millimeter straps, although the bracelet is actually quite comfortable. It's a fairly standard oyster style bracelet. So it's 3-link construction, nice brushing on the tops, pretty much media blasted or bee blasted on the side. Each individual link is actually held into place with split pins, so you just need a little bit of friction to push them out in one direction. One of the actual nice updates they're going to make is you can see that the end link here is a male end link that protrudes past the lug here, but they're going to actually update the actual production models for this watch with female end links, so you get better overall articulation. So even though you can fold this over quite nicely, it will drape and hug your wrist a little bit better once you get the production models. This is a prototype right now, so please bear that in mind. So here's a quick in-studio wrist shot just to give you a feel for how this watch is going to wear on a wrist that's 7.5 inches. That's 19 centimeters in circumference if you're going with the metric system. And it's actually very low in profile, wears very comfortably. And when I did size up the bracelet for my wrist, the watch head plus the bracelet comes in at around 140 grams. I also just really wanted to quickly show off the case back with that Hawker Hunter fighter jet in the center, which is pretty cool. And you get some other specs. These are, I guess, limited edition watches, so there's only going to be about 150 per colorway, and there are multiple color options. For this watch, the dial I have is like the champagne dial here. Quickly, I'll also show you the clasp is retrofitted with 5 micro adjustment anchoring points, and it does have a fold over security lock here, so it does wear comfortable and secure on the wrist. Okay, so rolling back to the dial of the watch, the overall layout is quite nice, and I do enjoy the champagne color. You have Arabic numerals for each of the hour markers. Just to the very periphery, you actually have a stepped up running minutes track, which gives you a little bit more depth and dimension. You have a fairly simplistic broadsword style handset, which I actually quite enjoy. And then the seconds hand does have a pop of color with red painting just at the tip there. I will say, looking at a macro level, this prototype did seem to have some scratches on the dial, which I don't think that's going to happen when you get to the production models, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. And all of the hour markers, as well as the handset, and notably even the date marker, it does have lume applied to it. I think it's just Swiss Superluminova that luminesces green, with the exception for the date indicator, which does actually glow a bright orange color to differentiate it from the rest of the watch. Now overall, the lume isn't the strongest I've seen, but this is definitely more of a field/pilot style watch, so it's not going to be on par with like some of the divers that are out there. And I'll also mention, if you flip to the side, you have a nicely embossed MMI signed crown, and I do think this crown might also be luminescent as well. But at the side profile, you get some nice finishing, very nice horizontal brushwork. The bezel is stepped down from where the sapphire crystal is, and it's done all in high polish, just to give you a bit of a differentiation between the dial and the mid case that's there. Now, with respect to the automatic movement inside this watch, you're getting a Miyota 9015, so that's a very thin movement, and I think contributes to how slim in profile this watch is overall. It's a 24 joule movement, ticking away at 4 hertz, which is a nice high beat rate that you got there. And then if you unscrew the signed screw down crown, this does afford the watch 100 meter of water resistance, but you can actually manually wind the movement in this open position. If you do actually pop out the crown to the first position, you can actually quickly cycle around that date wheel, which is kind of cool to see. And then this also has hacking seconds. So if I pull the crown to extremity, the second hand stops, and then you can set accurately to any reference time that you want. Alright, so in terms of potential points for improvement, nothing really stands out as a big red flag to me. I would say that the lume for this watch is a lot weaker than I would expect to see on a field or pilot style timepiece. So that's something I hope they can improve in the future. I actually do know that some of their models, like the Stark White dial, has a fully lumed dial. So perhaps that's actually just isolated to the Champagne version overall. And I do have a constructive criticism just with respect to reading the date, because as much as that roulette date wheel is a cool feature, the individual numbers are very small and difficult to discern what specific day of the month that you're in. So maybe if they can increase the font size, or maybe figure out a way that you don't have to have every single day of the month written out, that might be a good way to move forward. Now, in terms of alternatives, one watch that did come to mind in my personal collection is a Seiko Sarb 035. Has kind of that cream dial to go against the Champagne dial, and very similar dimensions as well. The Sarb is about a 38mm case size, fairly similar lug to lug as well. Just a little bit harder to come by, and the prices for the Sarb has gone up a fair bit. So if you're looking at a watch that is hovering around the $400 price point, this might actually be something really to consider if you just want a nice field watch. The comfort is definitely there on the bracelet, and it's nice low in profile as well. But as always, guys, let me know your feedback in the comments section of this video. And if you do enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It does help out a lot. I do want to thank MMI for lending in this watch for the review. I will be sending it back to them shortly. And as always, I can't wait to catch you guys in the next video.